Okay, next on the list is really about design. As I said, I should thank Simulator for his original design. I use his Mark II mostly, which the Mark II, Mark I difference really came down to, I think, how the steering wheel mounted. Just having this little T-piece off the back to sort of cantilever the plate. Let me just get this camera off the mount, sorry. Just bear with me. So yes, with a wheel deck, really simple. I found these great clamps from my local plumbing store. Very handy. And that's these clamps here. Just a two-part clamp. They're used for mounting PVC to stud walls in the interior when the house has been constructed. And you can obviously have two sides. And then you just mount, I don't know what that is, maybe it's a 3/8 or something. Or 1/4 inch bolt. And here in mine, I just use button head bolts to hide them underneath. And basically cut a recess out so they'd hold and wouldn't spin, and then did them up from underneath using, when it was all off of course, by just spinning them around and then tightening onto this piece of moulded sort of plastic. Steering wheel mount, not much to say about it, it's quite straightforward. I think you can figure it out. All I'd recommend is doing the mount first, and then after that, then mark your wheel on the mount, and then mark the holes. Don't do it when it's off. If you try and do it off when it's off and just using mathematics or geometry, you'll probably get the wheel slightly off angle and it won't look quite right. You won't be happy. The main thing I want to speak about design is that I changed this design quite significantly. I sat down with paper, I thought I could figure it out, because I wanted to have the seat higher. I'm not too old, but I wanted to be more comfortable to get in and out. So I basically tried to extend this rail here I moved this part out further. It used to be a bit closer, so this would be more rigid, and just change the other angles to suit, and then of course have my seat raised up higher. In the end, it didn't quite work out as I wanted. I've got maybe a couple of inches, which you can see from my pedal plate is a bit higher than off the wheel deck, off the base, sorry. But the main thing is to consider it really is all about the relationship. It's about the relationship between your seat height, your bum, and where your feet are sitting. And if you're basically too high, you'll feel like you're in the forward drive, and your legs are, are very much square to the ground, and won't get that sports car feel. Sorry about the light there. So what I was after really, is to have the pedals up as high as possible, somewhat, so my legs are elevated. And in the end I achieved that, but took a lot of messing around, and it really wasn't worth changing his design. His design is very good, and I wouldn't question it. And I mean, for mine, my compromise in the end was that the leg room here is nowhere near as well it should be. It's more rigid, it's definitely nice and rigid, it hasn't got much side-to-side travel, barely any at all. You can't notice anything when you're driving. But my trade-off was that my legroom getting in and out is reduced by quite a lot. Probably half. I probably should have got half more than I got there. But yeah, otherwise the pedal inversion, I'll cover that in probably another video. That was quite a complex thing. Worked out well in the end. I'm quite proud of the end result, but it was a pain. Particularly getting the travel right for the accelerator, and not overextending your leg, having to reach too far. But as I said, I'll talk about that in the next video. Other than that, I use 3 cans of spray paint on mine, plus 1 can of clear. I'd recommend using clear. Clear's great. A clear spray can over the top means it won't mark so much, particularly when you wrap your legs in and out. Getting in and out. And the other main thing I did for my design is that I tried to make mine modular. So you'll see, if I get close, It won't focus. Oh well. Basically, I've got a bolt here through, a bolt on the other side, and one up the top of the 45 brace, in which they all come undone, and the front section and the rear section come out apart. Actually, the armrest comes off too, but it means I can move the whole thing by myself. I don't require a second person, and if I need to move house or whatever needs to be done, or even if I need to change something and work on something, which inevitably I found that I'm always adding something to it, I like the ability to take it out, bring it back down to my garage, work on it, and not have to do it in my nice clean spare room. And the other thing, I guess, for me, my real other sort of gripe was my seat. This is $60 from eBay. I thought bargain of the century, and in the end it was a new seat, hadn't been used, but I think the guy chose not to use it because it was very, very hard. It was a sports seat, the padding was extremely stiff and very uncomfortable, and it came with this ridiculous lumbar support which came out about 3 inches, which I originally thought, oh fantastic, great lumbar support, I've got a bit of a back problem, that'll help. But in the end, the padding was just so hard, it was just completely uncomfortable. So I recommend always go for a comfort seat over looks. My friend had a Land Rover seat. It looks ugly as hell, but bloody, it is so comfortable. This one looks great, but to get this comfortable, I had to pull the whole thing apart and repad both the bottom cushion, the two sides because they were digging in, and the back. And this is just, in the end, it only cost me $30 of foam, just from a place called Clark Rubber in Australia, just do foam pieces, and you just cut them to suit. It actually wasn't that hard to do. You basically unpick these little brass rings, you take it apart, take off the cover, and basically cut your new piece to match your old one, using a hacksaw or an electric kitchen knife, whatever else. And it really isn't that difficult, but to start with, I probably wouldn't recommend that as a start goal. This is a armrest I made. It actually, I don't know if you can tell, it has a glove box inside, which, hey, it's got gloves in it, no surprise. And calculator and a few other things I use while I'm driving. Don't mind the trimming job, it's still work in progress. This was actually started life as 160mm pipe. This is PVC pipe, big round thing. And I used a heat gun to basically push it around and keep forming it and forming the little alcoves and things, and basically molded it around where my gear lever, this is a Fanatic 6-speed, mounted via 2 bolts. One bolt through which holds just underneath the bottom, and that bolt goes through actually into its existing mount with a nut on the other side, and it's nice and rigid. This is just carbon wrap, just carbon film. Again, you apply it with a heat gun, and yeah, this is a reasonably complex shape. I've had a bit of practice, but it does work, and I think it looks quite good. Good for the application, quite appropriate, and definitely a great do-it-yourself type thing to learn. Yeah, Glovebox, happy with it. Nothing really further to say. Just pad it, make it comfortable. The material is like an Alcantara type material, a synthetic suede. It's actually the same. It feels very similar to the stuff Fanatic use. But I got this from a fabric shop for nothing, like, I don't know, maybe a few dollars a metre. Nice and cheap, fantastic stuff.